Listen to The Time Machine by Herbert Wells. Level B1. Oxford Reading University. Part 2. You will find Part 1 here.
5. Soon, I made my first friend in the future world. I was watching a group of people taking a swim in a river when one of them began to sink. Later, I would learn that it was a woman. She shouted and waved her arms, but the others showed no reaction. I jumped into the river and pulled her out. The next day, she brought me flowers to show me how grateful she was. I was glad that I had someone to spend time with, and soon I grew attached to her. Maybe I was just feeling lonely. Her name was Weena. She was as cheerful and innocent as a child and feared only one thing: the dark. This seemed strange to me. Indeed, I noticed that the people of the future gathered together at night to sleep in large groups. I, on the other hand, appreciated sleeping alone, much to Weena's dislike. One day, it was so hot that I had to enter one of the buildings to cool off. I entered a narrow hallway of a half-ruined gallery. It led me into a large room. When I got used to the dark, I froze in fear. From under a pile of stones, two bright eyes looked at me closely. I did not doubt that creatures like this one made little people scared of the dark. It took me a while before I could step forward and touch the unknown creature. It turned sharply and hid behind another pile of rocks. I noticed that it looked like a monkey, but was covered with thick white hair from head to toe. Behind the rocks, I noticed yet another stone well. I lit a match and saw the creature climb down some iron stairs and escape into the dark. I was shocked and frightened. I tried to ask Weena and others about this strange creature. I learned that the beautiful little people were called Eloi, and the ugly creatures Morlocks. Apart from that, I found out very little. Therefore, I was forced to draw my own conclusions. Morlocks must be a separate race, though they too come from humans, I guessed. They have to work hard in the laboratories and factories underground. This way, they make the life of the Eloi simple and careless. But Morlocks are used to the dark and can't stand the light. If my guesses were true, society in the future was still divided into lower and upper classes, similar to the human society of my day.
I think you forgot to like this video. Do it now to support our channel.
6. I did not doubt that the Morlocks had taken my time machine and that I had to go underground to get it back. The very next morning, ignoring Weena's warnings and my own horror, I climbed down one of the wells. A long time passed before I reached a tunnel in the wall. There, I stopped to catch my breath. My arms hurt and I shook all over. Sleep overtook me. I woke up to someone's soft hand touching my face. In horror, I jumped away from 3 white figures. I lit a match and the bright light scared them away. From the tunnel, I got out into a huge underground cave, full of various machines of the oddest shapes. They were giant iron objects, and a thick black fog was coming out of the pipes on top of each machine. In the distance, I noticed a group of Morlocks bent over a table. Immediately, I smelled blood in the air. They were eating some kind of meat. They noticed me and threw themselves at me, shouting and catching hold of my clothes. My match went out, and I quickly lit another. Then I climbed up the well before the Morlocks could catch me. Now I was sure that my theory was correct. Both Eloi and Morlocks had come from humans. The Eloi had once made the Morlocks their servants and driven them underground. The life of the Eloi had been all pleasure and happiness, and the life of the Morlocks had been just hard work and suffering. But then the balance of power had shifted. The careless Eloi had grown weak and helpless, while Morlocks had grown violent and bloodthirsty. I realized that the meat they were eating in the cave was an Eloi. Once Morlocks had used up their resources, they started to hunt their masters and feed on their meat and blood. Meanwhile, their masters continued to take advantage of their servants, but were terrified of them at the same time.
Send this video to your friends if they like learning English.
7. I understood that I had made the Morlocks very angry. I was afraid that they would come up and hurt me or the Eloi I lived with. I couldn't risk my life and the life of Weena, who had become so dear to me. We had to find a safe place. On the edge of the city, there was a huge green building. It reminded me of the great palaces of the ancient East, so I called it the Green Palace. Something about it attracted me, and I was determined to explore it. Weena and I set out on our journey. On the way, she danced cheerfully around me and put lovely flowers into my pockets. It took longer than I expected to get to the palace, and we had to spend the night in the open air. We stopped in front of a thick, dark forest. Afraid of the violent Morlocks, we decided to stay away from it and went to a small clearing instead. I put Weena to sleep, preparing to guard her all night. Fortunately, the night passed peacefully. We set off in the morning and reached the safety of the palace in the afternoon. We went through the giant green doors and entered a large hall. The building, though fascinating on the outside, was slowly falling into ruin. Piles of stone and broken glass lay on the floor, covered with a thick layer of dust. The glass windows were broken. I knew at once that the building had served as a museum. I could see the remains of ancient animal bones along the wall. We walked from hall to hall, and I was amazed by the incredible things that had been forgotten by the new civilization. One room was full of various machines and tools, and I couldn't understand their purpose. A heavy iron lever stuck out of a machine, and I tore it off. I decided I could use it as a weapon against the Morlocks. In the Hall of Chemical Substances, I picked up one more treasure, a matchbox. Suddenly, Weena caught hold of my hand, and I noticed that we were close to a dark hallway. I heard familiar noises coming from the deep dark. The Morlocks were there.
Part 3 is coming soon. Do you want more English audiobooks? with translations and transcriptions? Check out app iwa.com. You can read books and learn new words every day. And now, enjoy another English story.